It's the weekly show about rAVe with the hottest news in the AV industry. It's rAVe TV. Give it up for Steph and Gary. Steph and Gary.
And we're back in
We're
2023. Back. Steph, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. I had a great holiday, great time off. I'm ready to be back. This, by the way, you're watching the industry's only live TV show, rAVe TV. This is we're entering our calendar-wise, our third year of doing rAVe TV.
That's wild.
So we'll hit our second anniversary here in just a bit. We're going to do something fun for our second anniversary. But we come to you every Wednesday live. Me and Steph Beckett come to you live every Wednesday on ravepubs.com, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, and on LinkedIn. We're excited to be here to talk each week and have random guests on. We have a guest today. We'll introduce in just a moment about what's going on in the industry. But before we do that, Steph, how was your holiday?
It was really good. You know, when you're like, it was really good, first of all, to like have that like week and a half off and just kind of take a breather. That was very nice. And it was good to see family. My sister flew in from Canada. You got to meet my sister on an episode of rAVe TV. And yeah, she flew in. It was the first time I've seen her in person in 3 years.
Wow.
So
and
it was like the last time. Yeah, it was a good time. Like I went and picked her up from the airport. And the first thing she said when she got in my car was, "Can we go to Target?" Because they don't have Target in Canada. And she was like, they tried to workshop a few of them here, but they just didn't take. Like, people didn't like it like Americans do. She's like, so I need to go to Target. I was like, okay. She's like, I need to go to Chick-fil-A. And I was like, okay. And she was like, and I need to go to Sheetz. And I said, the gas station? And she's like, oh, these are just such nice gas stations that they have the best snacks. So I took her to all 3 places. But it was a good time. Yeah, we really had a good time, like hanging out with my dad and stuff. Like it had been a long time since it's been like my dad and us. So it was really good. What about yours? Did you get to see your daughters?
I did. I saw both of them. I actually went down to Greenville, South Carolina right after Christmas and hung out with my older daughter and her boyfriend. And
nice.
Greenville is a neat up and coming city, an up and coming town, and there's a lot going on there. So I had a good time. It was
I've
cold.
Never been there. It was cold. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. It was so like uncharacteristic.
We can't complain compared to South Dakota and Minnesota and Chicago and all of Canada.
All of our friends in the Great White North. Yes. But it was very cold for North Carolina. I think the high one day, on Christmas was like 17 degrees.
Yeah,
like,
that's cold for us. And they were warning us to turn off the water and insulate your pipes.
Conserve energy. My dad lost internet for like 3 days or 2 days or something. And I thought that I was like really connected to technology, but my dad was like even worse because he was like calling Spectrum like every 5 minutes, like asking for an update.
Are you watching White Lotus?
I finished it.
Okay, so that scene where the boy goes, "What am I gonna do? I don't have any iPad."
My phone. Yeah,
yes. We're in Hawaii. Why don't you look out the door and enjoy the beach? Why would I want to do that?
Yeah, I was like, Dad, like we're here, like we can just hang out and talk, like listen to music, like whatever. And because my best friend and her husband had come over for dinner, and my dad's like, but I just wanted to watch Christmas Vacation with everyone. And like he doesn't.
That is, by the way, the best Christmas movie.
It is. And I was like, well, Dad, this is what you get for like, trying to be an early adopter, because some of us like me still have an emergency Blu-ray player and everyone makes fun of me till we don't have no internet and I'm the one who's still enjoying my films. So
emergency Blu-ray player.
Emergency. This is your sign for everyone to get an emergency Blu-ray player.
And by the way, that's a great segment into one of our sponsors, Legrand, who makes cables that connect into the emergency
Blu-ray player
because they have the cables to go division of Legrand AV. Yes. We have 3 sponsors of rAVe TV. In case you don't know our sort of thing here, this is a free TV show sponsored by Aver, Legrand AV, and Shure. We're using Shure microphones, and that's why we sound so good. And of course, one of our sponsors is Legrand, and Legrand AV makes, as we've called them many times, Steph, they're a glue company in our industry. And we have this message from Legrand for you, thanks to them being a sponsor of rAVe TV. We'll be right back. That's a cool video. I really like that. Legrand did a phenomenal job putting that together, and I like things that are different like that. But
they're creative, yeah.
Yeah. So the big news. So there hasn't been a lot of news in 2023. I mean, obviously, the last week we were the week between Christmas and New Year's for those
that's like limbo. That's like not a real week, you know. Like you don't know what day it is. You don't know what's going on.
Well, I actually did have to come into work, as did our producer Carrie, because we did have a meeting with one of our clients. But it was a weird week. You're right.
Yeah.
And then we had we did have some big news yesterday that dropped yesterday.
Yes.
That we put on our website. In case you didn't know, someone who's sort of famous in our industry, an icon in the industry, Sam Taylor, is retiring from Exertis Almo. Now, if you may recall, he started a company called Electrosonic as a distributor, and then started the rAVe division of Almo Corporation, which was known as Almo rAVe. Mm-hmm. They were acquired late last year by Exertis, now called Exertis Almo. And I had a chance to do an interview with both Sam and his replacement.
Yeah. Who's replacing it?
Well, let's run the interview so you'll know, in case you don't know who's replacing it.
So who's taking that job?
Yeah. I'm pleased to introduce Dan Smith, who's formerly with LG, and will be joining us January 17th. Great guy, well known, well respected in the industry. I've known Dan probably for 20 years, and he has a great broad base of experience. Worked for 3 rAVe manufacturers, one large distributor where he basically helped start a rAVe division there, and one large reseller. So he really knows the channel through and through, and loves the channel like I do. So I think he's going to be great in filling my shoes.
Well, Dan, congratulations on the appointment. I know you must be excited. This has got to be one of the best jobs in the industry.
Yeah, I am. We look forward to the potential here. It's very exciting for me. So I appreciate the opportunity. So
tell me, Dan, do you think there's going to be a lot of sort of transition in this role or not? Because as Sam said, you've got a tremendous amount of experience. I mean, you've played in all the areas of the market, right? You're coming from a manufacturer that is one of the most popular manufacturers in the industry. You've obviously worked in distribution. You've been an integrator. You helped start the rAVe division of the distributor. In fact, you're probably the best well-rounded person for this role. I mean, what do you think the transition is going to be like? Or what are you hoping for?
Well, I think as we went through the discussion about the potential of us working together, I think we found that hopefully transitioning from Sam to myself, there would be very little transition, right? The goal is to take a already successful business and make sure our goal number one throughout our entire discussion was continuity. We don't want to shake things up. We don't want to change things. But at the same time, this market is changing so fast. I'm going to be blessed to have 6 months of overlap with Sam, so we can look at the continually changing environment of the industry to make sure that we're also changing Exertis Almo to line up with what the future is going to be. And that's one of the biggest challenges in this role, is constantly predicting the future.
Well, they went from one nice guy to another nice guy. Like Sam is literally one of the nicest guys in the industry. No, even his competitors love him. And then you got Dan Smith, who's a super nice guy, like just really a nice guy. So I think they filled the shoes well.
Yeah, I was going to ask, did you ever think that Sam would retire? Because I just kind of never thought he would, similarly to how I never feel like you will. I kind of feel like you're like when Queen Elizabeth was alive, she was still around.
Wouldn't step down. Well, see, the problem is she had Prince Charles to go after. So she needed to stay in there as long as possible.
Yeah. That's fair.
But now this is coming from an American who watched The Crown and believes everything in that TV show. But ultimately, I was surprised that he's retiring. He's young, he's got a lot of years left. But I asked him the question, what he's going to do after retirement stuff. Mm-hmm. So here's what he's going to do.
And Sam, what are you going to do? What is your next day? What are you going to do? You're saying you're retiring, but I just can't, knowing you now for 20 plus years, I can't imagine Sam Taylor retiring. So what are you really going to do?
Well, I'm going to go back to another love of my life, which is swimming. And here in Kentucky, Gary, there's a historically black college, Kentucky State University, whose pool has been in disrepair for over 2 years. So I'm going to help raise funds, spearhead a project to get the pool back functional, and then start a swimming program at KSU for the students. And then also we're going to involve the local YMCA here and have swim lessons for young kids too, because there's especially aimed for minorities. There's people of color are 50% more likely to drown, and it's not. It's just because they don't get access to pools and swimming, and in children they're 10 times more likely to drown. So I want to get this pool back functional here and teach some people how to swim, and eventually maybe start a swim team as time goes on if interest is there.
Well, I'm not surprised that that's going to be your next role, because I know the passion that you have. Both of us, actually, that's how we met professionally in the industry, is the connection to swimming. And Dan, I understand that you can swim a little bit too. You do swim regularly.
Yeah, I spent a few years in the pool. Yes.
So there's that swim connection too between the two of them, and I'm excited for Sam. He was, in case you don't know this stuff, he was a assistant coach for the women's team for Johns Hopkins when my daughter was being recruited to swim all around the country, and they wanted her to come to Johns Hopkins to swim. So we had a connection there as well, even though we were both in the industry at the same time. So he's always had a love for swimming. And he's going to do amazing things, and I'm really excited for his future. It's a big loss for the industry. I'm sure that Dan's going to do a phenomenal job filling those shoes, but at the same time, and there is a 6-month transition. There's going to be a 6 months where they're working together, so that'll help Dan. But they traded one nice guy for another nice guy, so I'm excited for him.
Nice. Well, transitioning here, Aver Pro AV wanted us to make sure to tell everyone to check out the TR333 V2. That is it's a 4K PTZ camera. It's got 30 times zoom. It's got AI auto tracking, which is recently added. And this is kind of their camera. It's for anything that you really need to just kind of sit somewhere, be a PTZ camera that streams to basically anywhere you need to stream to. So this is kind of for lectures, sermons, trainings, virtually any type of Pro AV install. So definitely check it out. And if you want to scan the QR code, it has more information there and where you can find it. So next up, I want to introduce our guest. This is Nathan Haynes. If you're a reader of rAVe Pubs, you might recognize his name, founder and principal consultant at Avio Designs. How's it going?
Good. How you doing, Steph?
Doing pretty well. We were talking about the craze of the holidays is finally over. Were you able to take a breath before hopping back into work?
A little bit, but yeah, a couple young daughters. So going back to work is kind of my holiday this year.
I'm sure Gary knows something about that, as also the dad of 2 daughters.
Yeah. It's like my busy season just ended.
Yeah. And yes, that makes a lot of sense. So you wrote a piece basically kind of toward the end of December all about wow value and the experience economy. So for someone who might need a little more explanation, can you explain what the experience economy is?
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily a new concept, but I feel like our generation, or where we are currently, seems to have really grasped kind of the nuts and bolts of it. And it's just that most people, consumers, clients, are predestined to find the experience as opposed to the technology that drives the experience. So, us as AV professionals tend to kind of focus a lot on the specs, the newest thing, the newest piece of hardware. And for the longest time, that drove a lot of consumers, our transition from standard def to high def. That was such a huge deal when it happened.
Yeah.
But now it's almost like everybody's kind of gotten savvy enough with the general terms, with the general tech, that they're kind of a little bit less interested in it and more interested in what's it going to do for me. So that's kind of the point of the article, is kind of to drive that home to people who maybe are thinking more so, I'm going to sit in this meeting, I'm going to tell them about all this cool stuff, and kind of just take a step back and go, hey, what can this cool stuff do? What's that going to do to transform your business or transform your clients? what's going to make them come into the space and kind of look around and really say, wow, this is amazing. Like that, what happened in here was great. And technology just drives that experience.
Why should AV professionals care about kind of shifting more toward experience and away from like the nuts and bolts of everything?
Yeah, it's just, I mean, what I've noticed over my years doing this is, and from feedback, even from clients and the success of the business over the years has been when you sit at the table and you're sitting with these other professionals, they're usually professionals in what they do and they understand all the nuts and bolts about that. And they don't have a lot of time. They're sitting with you. They have, they want to get the outcomes sorted out. They want to give you the inputs and get the outcomes. So if you're sitting there and discussing all these kind of nuts and bolts, they tend to have a moment where you can kind of see them glaze over. Everybody at the table kind of starts to glaze over looking at you because we're dropping industry terms and talking about pixel pitch and nit and all this type of thing. And it just doesn't drive a lot of excitement in them. So as professionals in what we do, if we can transition that conversation and kind of engage the client, engage their other consultant teams, whether it's, design professionals, interior design or architecture, that type of thing. If these people are all at the table, you need to help create that vision. We're just giving them the canvas. We need to give them a vision of what this can do, how it can transform the space. And that's when you start to see that engagement happen at the table. The excitement starts to pick up. And now all of a sudden everybody is sitting there like just geeked out about what they can do. And that's exciting.
So how do you sell an experience over a product? Because it seems like an easy concept, but I feel like that's harder to do than it is to just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like for any integrator, like they're like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. But at the end of the day, like they're there to sell products,
Yeah. Yeah, it is tough in this traditional sense of sales. If you're looking at kind of one to show, one to go mentality with the black box and that end of it. And the thing to remember is that the vision or what the creativity, kind of the idea that you're getting across to them is going to drive those sales anyways in the background. We need that stuff regardless. And thankfully we have amazing products out there right now from a lot of companies like Shure and the like, where they're putting out these wonderful new technologies. They're way better offerings than we had even 5 or 10 years ago. So inevitably those black boxes are still going to move, and inevitably you will still have those technical conversations, but especially early on, it's just important to keep things exciting, keep it open, and talk about the big picture, the vision and the brand, and how you can kind of drive things forward, whether it's engagement and collaboration with business staff or their internal staff, or whether it's driving people to a venue. And it can be simple things as opposed to just talking about, oh, we can do this, 2.5 mil pixel pitch, high nit, 16 by 9. It's like, okay, let's transition that into, we can put in this large, display that can do all these different things, have creative shapes, drive different content. It can be used to light the space as well. We can add audio to kind of help enhance the effects of the visuals that are happening on the screen. Now all of a sudden people are kind of getting a fix on, oh yeah, it can be a light source for the space, or it can be in creative shapes, and the sound can kind of also help drive the experience of the people that are coming to this space. And inevitably, like I said, that's going to drive the back end. I mean, we're going to get into engineering, we're going to get into design. There's going to be technical conversations with different people of those stakeholder teams where we'll still have those conversations, but we just don't want to lead with that foot first.
Yeah, that makes sense. Where do you think that this will take AV then? Do you think that people will continue to want AV like explained and kind of its purpose to be like making life better and easier?
I think so, yeah. I mean, we've really hit an interesting point with what we do. One is everything's become a lot more simple. Like I was saying before, we've got a knowledge base amongst everybody that's a lot higher than it was, especially post-pandemic. And we've also reached a point where AV is art. Like we see it more and more. Rafik, some of the artists out there doing different kind of things, Ouch Studios. There's a lot of content-driven AV in galleries. So I think we're seeing it just touch on so many aspects of our lives. Even just walking downtown now, you're going to see outdoor screens in odd shapes, and people are actually stopping and taking photos and videos with their cameras and sharing, and it's getting 1 million likes. Whereas 15 years ago, it was kind of the AV cart guy at the back of the room with a 8 mil projector, 60 mil projector or something. And now it's kind of everywhere around us. And really what we do is part of two primary senses of the human experience with sight and sound. So we really are the gatekeepers to being able to crack open a lot of excitement for viewers and kind of patrons of the AV experience.
Yeah. Well, last question I have for you, Nathan, is where can people connect with you?
The best place is online through rAVe pubs. Those are the two easiest ways for sure. So viodesigns.com and then through rAVe pubs with Nathan Haynes. Perfect.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks for hopping on today on rAVe TV.
Thanks for having me. It was great seeing you again, Steph.
Good seeing you too. So next thing I have up for you guys is we are going to show a commercial from our sponsor and partner, Shure, who Nathan mentioned earlier, luckily. So makes a great segue. So we're going to show you this video next.
Things have changed. Conversations that used to happen around a table now take place on leading video conferencing platforms. What hasn't changed is the need for clarity in those conversations. Alongside key strategic partners, Shure is bringing the next generation of audio solutions to the workplace. Experience crystal clear audio solutions from Shure.
And we're back.
I love Nathan's, his take on this, because he's exactly right. People are, our industry has matured beyond specifications. Now, I mean, if you look at it, as an example, there's probably 30 LED manufacturers out there now, and they're all selling very similar products.
Yes.
And the difference comes in the brand's ability to support it and the ability to do things that are more unique. And I think those unique differentiations are really going to be the future of our market.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was familiar with this concept, but I feel like everything Nathan writes, he always kind of teaches me a new term to explain something like that. I had never heard the term experience economy, but it makes a lot of sense, right? So yeah, he's one of our writers who teaches me quite a lot. So I'm very grateful that he writes for us. So other news that we have in the industry this week, Enco acquired Rushworks. So that, more acquisition. Gary, do you think that there's going to be a lot more acquisitions this year, even more than last year? Because I feel like 2022 had a ton.
I think 2022 had a lot of bailout acquisitions.
Yeah.
And I think 2023 will bring a lot more strategic acquisitions. I think there was a lot going on in 2022 where companies were a little concerned about sort of the direction that they were going, and they wanted to make sure they protected their team, their employees, and they made the right moves to save those organizations, especially in the integrator community. I definitely think we're going to see a massive amount of consolidation in 2023 of integrators. As an example, in the U.S., we have about 1,700 integrators right now. We have about, I think the total number is something like 2,300 different offices that are out there, 500 different offices. I suspect that number will drop at least 10% in 2023. But so I think, and I think there'll be some brands that'll be a lot more partnerships, whether it's an acquisition or a partnership. I definitely think we're seeing a lot more collaboration between brands. That's one of the things I talk about in my crystal ball.
Oh yeah, I was just going to ask that. I was like, are you going to write about that in your crystal ball article?
I am. I'm going to talk about how you're going to see more brands working together that are companies that you wouldn't normally see working together for two reasons. One is the fact that one of the other brands, maybe both of them, got in trouble during the pandemic because they couldn't ship product, not because of themselves, but because of somebody else that impacted their ability to ship products. So they want to take control of that. So we'll see a lot more all-in-one products. And then the other factor is just the cost of doing business now is a lot more expensive. I mean, we're a small company, but our costs are up almost 10% over doing business a year and a half ago. And everyone's sort of feeling that squeeze. So I think those two as a combination will bring some changes in 2023.
You asked me to write a part of your crystal ball, but I forgot what you asked me to write. Do you remember?
You better write that stuff. I'm coming after you.
I better get on it. I don't remember what it was.
I'll talk to you offline. That brain. You're younger than me. What that young brain you have. All right, let's talk about our virtual events for the month of January and beyond. We have, first off, up next week, we have why should AV integrators care about security? And there's two parts of security here. There's physical security and there's cyber security.
Yeah.
And I want you to scan that QR code and sign up for that Launch and Learn, our first Launch and Learn of the year. This is an important one. Not only is this a great opportunity for integrators to get in a new segment of the market if you're not already in cybersecurity or in physical security, but also there's a lot going on in and around that. There's news coming out every day that's affecting people. And then on January 17th, the week after, we're going to have how to actually champion women in AVIT. Is that something you're a part of, Steph, or is that Megan? Who's doing that?
I think Megan's doing that, but I'm like aware of what this is going to be about. It's going to be really exciting. It's going to have a lot of just kind of, there's some basics that every company can kind of, lay some foundation for, because, women are coming into both industries, one industry, however you see AVIT, more than ever before. And this is going to kind of be some really good foundation for how to champion them in the industry, and, how to continue pushing forward. So it's going to be great. And then
launch week 7.
Yes. And it's going to be, oh my gosh, I forgot to put the date again. It's going to be March 6th or 9th.
The 9th of March.
Yes. And it's going to be 12:30 to 3 p.m. Eastern each day. And so these are going to be really fun sessions. We've been working really hard on them. There's going to be one on if we'll ever achieve a true collaboration standard, which, standards are something that are very talked about in our industry. We never seem to, find them. But this is going to be a really good session on that. There's going to be one on esports and experience design. Esports, another really big thing in our industry that's only going to get more and more popular. End user and integrator relationships. That's something that we also talk about a lot, like the manufacturer, integrator, end user, like symbiotic relationship. So these are going to be really great sessions. I highly recommend you scan that QR code and go ahead and save your spot, because it's going to be a really fun week. I can't wait.
And in about a month from today, we will be at ISC in Barcelona covering that show. And,
yeah, that's so wild.
If you haven't signed up yet, we have a free code. Just go to isceurope.org and use that code, or click that QR code, or scan that QR code and use the code rAVe Europe, and you get free admission. But even if you're not going, we're going to cover it. We're going to bring to you, we're going to show videos every day from that show, including a lot of live. We're going to try to do as much live as we can, depending on bandwidth. Obviously, that's going to be a limitation. So the more bandwidth they have, more live we're going to do. So all you have to do is, we'll give you more instruction on that later, but just go to ravepubs.com and you'll be able to see that live video. And we're going to try to get as many videos up as we possibly can each night of the show. But the next week, the week following the week after the show, so 2 weeks after ISE, we will have a replay ISE where we curate the best coverage. We're going to take a little bit longer. Normally we've done this the week after the show, but we're going to take a week and a half because it's a long way to travel. And we have found that the more time we have to curate coverage, the better our coverage is. So the week after the week after of ISE, so 2 weeks after ISE, we'll have a replay ISE day where we'll show the best of the best, including doing our awards for ISE, which Steph, you sent me an email about that. So I need to return your message about that.
Thank you. No, it's going to be really great. And I do agree that like doing it 2 weeks after is going to give like a little bit of time to like make it even better. Just because normally like for replay ISE, we do it usually like one in Europe time and one in sometime in the Americas.
We'll do the same. Yeah.
Yes. And usually like if it's the week after ISE, I'm usually like some type of like haggard creature, because I'm just like doing my best to like be awake and like so I think that this will give me some time to not be as haggard, so I've
never described you that way, and I don't know anyone
Thank
else.
You.
You're always happy. But in any case, we want to thank you for joining us for our first episode of rAVe TV for the year 2023. I don't know what episode this number is, but we got to be getting close to number 100, right? 91.
Yeah, we're getting there. So wait, do we need to do something fun for our 100th episode and then fun for our 2 year?
We already talked about this, Steph, remember?
Well, we talked about one. I thought that was for our 2-year anniversary. Our 100th episode should be something fun as well.
We'll have to think of something for episode 1. Actually, if you have ideas for episode 100, drop them in the comments wherever you are right now, because our social team will see them. If you want us to see us do something for episode 100 in just 2 months, let us know, and we'll do that. Maybe
I could put you in a dunk tank again and just like
that's too cold. No, it's got to be it's too cold.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, look, everyone have a great day. Steph, you have a great day. Hopefully this rain will stop so I go do my mile, and y'all have a great afternoon. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
We'll see you next Wednesday. Bye.
It's the weekly show about Pro AV with the hottest news in the AV industry. It's rAVe TV. Give it up for Steph and Gary.